How to attract big money fast. You're 3 decisions away from financial explosion. Most people never make the first one. What if the money you need is already moving toward you, but you keep blocking it with the wrong habits? In the next 47 minutes, you'll learn why broke people work harder than millionaires and how to flip that script tonight. There's a 72-hour window after you finish this book where money flows easiest. Miss it and you wait another cycle. One psychological switch separates people who manifest $10,000 from those who manifest $100,000. You'll know which one you have by Chapter 3. Why do some people attract money in their sleep while others hustle for scraps? The answer isn't effort. It's energetic positioning. If you don't change your money blueprint in the next 30 days, your financial ceiling hardens. After that, breaking through takes 10 times the effort. Follow this system exactly, and you'll see tangible money movement within 21 days, or you'll know precisely what's blocking you and how to fix it. Let me tell you about 2 people who started in the exact same place. Sarah and Michael both worked corporate jobs making $55,000 a year. Both were talented, hardworking, and frustrated with their income. Both wanted big money fast. But 1 year later, Sarah was still making $55,000, working late nights and weekends, hustling harder than ever. Michael was making $230,000, working fewer hours and turning down opportunities because he had too many. What happened? The difference wasn't luck, connections, or some secret business model. It was 3 decisions Michael made that Sarah didn't. The first decision was recognizing that his current money reality was a perfect reflection of his internal money frequency. The second decision was committing to shift that frequency no matter how uncomfortable it felt. The third decision was taking action from the new frequency before he felt ready. Sarah kept waiting to feel ready. She kept working harder at the same frequency, wondering why nothing changed. Michael understood something crucial that you're about to learn. Money doesn't care about your effort. It responds to your energetic signature. Right now, you're broadcasting a financial frequency. It's not mystical or abstract. It's the sum total of your beliefs, habits, expectations, and emotional patterns around money. Every thought you think about money, every feeling you have when you check your bank account, every action you take or don't take when opportunity appears, all of it combines to create a signal. That signal either attracts money or repels it. Most people spend their entire lives trying to attract money while simultaneously broadcasting a repellent signal. They say they want wealth while thinking thoughts of scarcity. They claim they're ready for big money while feeling terrified of what it might require. They set goals for 6 figures while behaving like someone who's comfortable at 5. The universe doesn't listen to your words. It responds to your frequency. Your financial frequency right now exists on a scale from 1 to 10. A 1 is someone who believes money is scarce, hard to get, and reserved for other people. A 10 is someone who knows money is abundant, easy to attract, and naturally flows to them. Most people operate between a 3 and a 6. They believe they can make money, but only through hard work, sacrifice, and struggle. They've accepted a reality where money comes slowly, requires enormous effort, and always feels just out of reach. Here's what's fascinating. People at a frequency of 8 or higher don't work harder than people at a 4. They work differently. They think differently. They make decisions differently, and money responds to them differently. When Michael made his shift, he didn't suddenly start working 80-hour weeks. He didn't launch some complicated business or learn advanced investing strategies. He changed 3 things about how he thought, felt, and moved through the world. Those 3 changes shifted his frequency from a 5 to an 8. Within 30 days, a former colleague reached out with a consulting opportunity that paid more in one project than his monthly salary. Within 60 days, his boss offered him a new role with a 40% raise. Within 90 days, he'd launched a small side venture that generated passive income while he slept. None of this happened because he hustled harder. It happened because he stopped repelling money and started attracting it. Sarah, meanwhile, kept doing what she'd always done. She worked hard, complained about not having enough, saved obsessively out of fear, and convinced herself that people like Michael just got lucky. Her frequency never changed. Her results never changed. 5 years later, she's still in the same place, slightly more bitter, significantly more exhausted. This isn't a story about winners and losers. It's a story about frequency and awareness. Sarah didn't know she was broadcasting a repellent signal. Michael learned how to shift his. That's the only difference. And that's why you're here. You're about to learn what Michael learned. More importantly, you're about to implement it, which is where most people fail. Before we go deeper, you need to diagnose your current frequency. This isn't about judgment or shame. It's about awareness. You can't shift what you don't acknowledge. Think about the last time you received unexpected money. Maybe a tax refund, a gift, a bonus, a surprise payment. What was your first thought? Did you immediately think about bills and problems, or did you feel grateful and abundant? When someone asks you how you're doing financially, what's your automatic response? Do you default to complaining, struggling, or getting by? Or do you talk about opportunities, growth, and expansion? When you see someone driving an expensive car or living in a beautiful home, what goes through your mind? Do you feel inspired and curious, or do you feel envious and resentful? These reactions aren't random. They're diagnostic. They reveal your frequency. If your first instinct with unexpected money is fear or obligation, you're operating below a 5. If your default financial conversation is about struggle, you're reinforcing scarcity. If other people's wealth triggers negative emotion in you, you're actively repelling the very thing you claim to want. None of this makes you a bad person. It makes you human. It also makes you stuck. And being stuck is optional once you understand the mechanics of attraction. The mechanics are simple, like attracts, like your current thoughts create your current feelings. Your current feelings drive your current actions. Your current actions produce your current results. Your current results reinforce your current thoughts. This loop runs automatically, invisibly, constantly. Most people never examine it. They just live inside it, wondering why nothing changes. Breaking the loop requires intervention at the thought level. You can't think your way into wealth using the same thought patterns that created your current financial reality. You need new thoughts. But here's the problem. You can't just decide to think differently. Your subconscious won't allow it. Your subconscious mind is programmed with thousands of hours of conditioning about money, most of it absorbed before you were 7 years old. Every time your parents fought about money, your subconscious recorded it. Every time you heard someone say money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are greedy, or we can't afford that, your subconscious filed it away as truth. By the time you became an adult, you had an entire operating system running in the background, governing every financial decision you make. That operating system is your money blueprint, and unless you rewrite it, you'll keep getting the same results no matter how hard you try. Rewriting your money blueprint doesn't take years of therapy or decades of meditation. It takes clarity, repetition, and strategic intervention. You're going to install 3 new beliefs over the next 7 days. These aren't affirmations you say once and forget. These are foundational beliefs you're going to embed through repetition, evidence gathering, and behavioral activation. The first belief is this: money comes to me easily and frequently from multiple sources. Right now, your subconscious probably believes the opposite. It believes money is hard to get, scarce, and comes from one source, your job. That belief keeps you trapped in a scarcity loop. The second belief is this: I am worth far more than I currently charge or earn. Your subconscious right now probably believes you're worth exactly what you make, or maybe even less. That belief keeps you undercharging, under-earning, and undervaluing yourself. The third belief is this: wealthy people are good people and I am becoming one of them. If you have any hidden resentment toward wealth or wealthy people, you will sabotage every opportunity to join them. Your subconscious won't let you become something you judge. Installing these beliefs requires a 7-day protocol. Every morning, immediately upon waking, before you check your phone or talk to anyone, you're going to say all 3 beliefs out loud 10 times. Not in your head, out loud. Your subconscious responds to the vibration of your voice. Then, throughout the day, you're going to look for evidence that supports these beliefs. Money comes easily. Notice the free coffee someone bought you. That's evidence. Notice the unexpected refund. That's evidence. Notice the compliment someone gave you about your work. That's evidence of your value. You're teaching your brain to see what it's been ignoring. Wealthy people are good. Find 3 examples of wealthy people doing good things. Read about them. Watch interviews. Counteract the programming that says, but belief alone isn't enough. You need aligned action. This is where most manifestation teachings fail. They tell you to visualize and affirm and believe, but they don't tell you what to do. Action is the bridge between frequency and results. The right action amplifies your frequency. The wrong action proves you don't really believe. So what's the right action? It's whatever makes you slightly uncomfortable because it requires you to act like the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. If you've been undercharging, the right action is raising your rates even though it scares you. If you've been hiding, the right action is becoming visible even though it feels vulnerable. If you've been waiting for permission, the right action is taking initiative even though you feel unqualified. Let me tell you about another person. His name was David. He was a graphic designer making $40 an hour, working freelance, constantly stressed about where the next client would come from. He wanted to make 6 figures but couldn't imagine anyone paying him more than his current rate. His money blueprint said he was worth 40 an hour, maybe 50 on a good day. He started the 7-day belief installation. By day 9, he had a new client inquiry. The potential client asked for his rate. David's old frequency would have said 40 or maybe 60 if he felt bold. His new frequency, still shaky but present, said 150. He almost laughed after he said it. The client didn't blink. They said that sounds fair and hired him on the spot. David later told me he felt like he was playing a character, like he was pretending to be someone confident enough to charge that much. But here's the truth. He wasn't pretending. He was becoming, and the universe responded to who he was becoming, not who he had been. That's the fast money formula. Shift your frequency, take aligned action, and let the universe meet you where you're moving, not where you've been. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to feel completely confident. You just have to be willing to act from your new frequency before it feels comfortable. Most people wait until they feel ready. Feeling ready is a luxury you can't afford if you want big money fast. Ready is a frequency. You become ready by acting as if you already are. Now let's talk about the quantum ask. This is where people get weird, and I need you to stay with me because this is the most powerful piece of the entire system. You're going to make a specific request to the universe, God, source, whatever language works for you. This isn't prayer in the traditional sense. This isn't begging or hoping. This is declaring your intention and aligning your frequency with its fulfillment. Here's the structure. You're going to write down a specific amount of money, a specific timeline, and a specific feeling state. For example, I am so grateful that I received $50,000 by December 31st, and I feel abundant, peaceful, and excited. Notice the tense. It's already done. You're not asking for it to happen. You're thanking the universe for it having happened. This linguistic shift rewires your brain. When you ask for something, you reinforce the belief that you don't have it. When you thank for it as if it's done, you reinforce the belief that it's already yours and just making its way to you. Write this statement by hand. There's something neurologically powerful about handwriting that typing doesn't replicate. Write it 3 times. Then read it out loud twice a day, morning and night, for 21 days. While you're reading it, close your eyes and feel what it would feel like to have that money in your account right now. Don't visualize what you'll buy or do with it. Feel the internal state of having it. Feel the relief, the ease, the confidence, the freedom. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you generate the feeling state repeatedly, your subconscious starts to believe it's real. And when your subconscious believes it's real, your behavior changes automatically. You stop acting desperate. You stop accepting low offers. You start moving like someone who already has what they asked for. Here's where people mess this up. They make the ask, read the statement for 3 days, see no immediate result, and quit. They decide it doesn't work. But the quantum ask isn't a magic spell. It's a frequency stabilizer. It keeps you anchored to your new reality while the physical world catches up. The money is already moving. Opportunities are already lining up. People are already thinking about you. But there's a lag time between frequency shift and physical manifestation. That lag time is where most people give up. Don't. The lag time is also a test. The universe is checking to see if you really believe it or if you're just playing around. If you stop after a week, you prove you didn't believe it. If you continue for 21 days regardless of what you see, you prove your belief is stronger than your circumstances. That's when the floodgates open. I need to tell you about detachment now, because this is the paradox that breaks most people. You have to want the money enough to take action, but you can't need it so desperately that you repel it. Desperation is a low frequency. Desperation says, I don't have, I'm afraid I'm lacking. Money doesn't flow toward lack. It flows toward fullness. So how do you want something without being desperate for it? You cultivate what I call cool indifference. Cool indifference isn't not caring. It's caring deeply about your intention while being completely unattached to the how and when. It's saying I've made my request, I'm taking aligned action, and I trust the universe to handle the details. It's the energy of someone who knows the money is coming, so they're not stressed about it. Think about someone who just got hired for a job that starts in 30 days. They haven't received a paycheck yet, but they're not stressed. They know it's coming. They might even start spending a little differently, planning a little differently, moving a little differently. That's the energy you're cultivating. You've been hired by the universe. Your payment is on the way. You don't need to check your account every hour or panic when you don't see it yet. You just keep showing up, doing the work, and trusting the process. This is easier said than done, especially if you're currently in a tight financial situation. If you're behind on bills or stressed about rent, detachment feels impossible. But here's the truth. Your stress about money is exactly what's keeping it away. You're stuck in a loop where lack of money creates stress, and stress creates more lack. The only way out is to interrupt the pattern, even if it feels irrational. One of the most effective detachment practices is acting as if you already have the money, but you're choosing not to spend it yet. Go window shopping for something you want, but don't buy it. Tell yourself you could buy it, but you're choosing to wait. Go test drive a car you can't afford yet. Feel what it's like to sit in it, to imagine owning it. Then walk away, knowing that you're becoming the person who will own it soon. These actions recalibrate your frequency. They tell your subconscious that scarcity is a choice, not a reality. And when scarcity becomes optional in your mind, abundance becomes inevitable in your reality. Let's talk about your network now, because the people around you are either amplifying your frequency or dampening it. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your 5 people are broke, complaining, and resigned to struggle, your frequency will match theirs no matter how many affirmations you say. If your 5 people are abundant, optimistic, and actively building wealth, your frequency will rise to meet theirs. This doesn't mean you need to abandon your friends or judge people for their financial situation. It means you need to intentionally expand your network to include people who are operating at the frequency you want to reach. High-value networks aren't exclusive clubs you can't access. They're communities built around shared interests, goals, and values. The easiest way to access them is to go where people who have what you want are already gathering. If you want to earn more money, go to events where successful entrepreneurs speak. If you want to build a business, join groups where business owners collaborate. If you want to invest in real estate, attend real estate meetups. You don't need to pretend you're someone you're not. You just need to show up, listen, learn, and contribute value where you can. High-value people don't care about your current bank account. They care about your mindset, your work ethic, and your potential. Show up with those 3 things and doors will open. When you meet someone who's where you want to be, don't ask them for anything. Ask them questions. Be genuinely curious about their journey. People love talking about themselves, and successful people especially love sharing what they've learned. One good conversation with someone operating at a higher frequency can shift yours permanently. You'll see how they think, how they talk, how they approach problems. You'll absorb their energy. You'll start to realize that they're not special or lucky. They just think differently than you've been thinking. And if they can do it, so can you. Now we need to talk about visibility, because you can't attract big money if no one knows you exist. Most people are invisible. They do good work in private, hope someone notices, and wonder why opportunities don't come. Big money doesn't come to people who hide. It comes to people who are seen, known, and valued. Visibility doesn't mean becoming an influencer or building a massive following. It means making sure the people who can pay you big money. Visibility also requires consistency. Posting once and disappearing doesn't work. Showing up once and vanishing doesn't work. You have to build presence over time. This doesn't mean posting every day or exhausting yourself. It means showing up regularly enough that people start to recognize your name, your face, your message. Frequency builds familiarity. Familiarity builds trust. Trust builds transactions. Most people give up after a few weeks because they don't see immediate results. But visibility is a compound game. The first 10 posts might get no response. The next 10 might get a little engagement. By post 50, you're the person people think of when they need what you offer. That's when big money shows up. Let me share a scenario with you. Picture this. A woman named Angela had been working as a copywriter for 5 years, charging $200 per project, constantly hustling for clients on freelance platforms. She was talented but invisible. She decided to shift her frequency and her visibility simultaneously. She wrote one thoughtful post on LinkedIn every Monday and Thursday for 90 days. The posts weren't salesy. They were insights about marketing, storytelling, and persuasion. By week 6, people started commenting. By week 10, someone messaged her asking if she took on private clients. By week 12, she landed a client who paid her $5,000 for a single project. That one client paid more than 25 of her old projects combined. What changed? Not her skill. Her skill was always there. Her visibility changed. She stopped hiding behind a platform and started putting her expertise directly in front of people who valued it. That's the visibility surge. It's not about going viral. It's about being seen by the right person at the right time. Let's go deeper into the close now, because this is where fear stops most people from making big money. You can have the best offer in the world, but if you can't ask for big money without flinching, you'll stay stuck at small money. Asking for what you're worth is a skill. It's also a frequency test. When you ask for big money and your voice shakes, or you immediately offer a discount, or you apologize for the price, you're telling the universe and the client that you don't believe you're worth it. And if you don't believe it, they won't either. The no hesitation close means stating your price with the same energy you'd use to state your name. No apology, no justification, no nervous laughter, just clarity and confidence. Here's how you practice. Decide on a number that feels slightly uncomfortable. Not impossible, but uncomfortable. That discomfort means you're stretching into a new frequency. Write the number down. Now practice saying it out loud. Say it to yourself in the mirror. Say it to a friend. Say it until the discomfort fades and it starts to feel normal. When someone asks your rate, you want the number to come out of your mouth smoothly, followed by silence. Don't fill the silence with explanations or discounts. Let them process. Most people can't handle the silence, so they start talking and negotiating with themselves before the client even responds. The client wasn't going to say no, but you talked yourself into a lower price out of nervousness. Silence is power. State your price and wait. What if they say no? Then they weren't your client. Big money doesn't come from convincing people who can't afford you. It comes from confidently presenting your value to people who can. Every no brings you closer to a yes. Every no is also feedback. Maybe your price is fine, but your positioning is off. Maybe you're talking to the wrong people. Maybe you need to demonstrate value more clearly before you name a price. Use the no as information, not rejection. Rejection is a frequency killer. Information is a frequency booster. When you detach your self-worth from the outcome and see every interaction as data, you stop fearing the close. You start seeing it as a necessary step in the process. I want you to think about the last time you hesitated to ask for what you wanted. Maybe it was a raise, a higher rate, a bigger opportunity. What were you afraid of? Most people say they're afraid of hearing no. But that's not the real fear. The real fear is that the no will confirm what you secretly believe about yourself, that you're not good enough, not valuable enough, not worth it. That belief is the only thing standing between you and big money. The belief is a lie, but it's a lie you've been telling yourself for so long that it feels like truth. The fastest way to dismantle that lie is to ask for big money anyway and see what happens. You'll discover that most of the fear was in your head. You'll discover that people say yes more often than you expected. You'll discover that your value isn't determined by someone else's budget or opinion. Your value is inherent. Your job is to own it and communicate it clearly. Now let's talk about overflow. Because big money isn't just about one big payday. It's about building systems where money comes to you repeatedly without you having to start from scratch every time. Overflow means multiple streams of income, passive revenue, recurring payments, and residual value. Most people trade time for money in a one-to-one equation. They work an hour, they get paid for an hour. If they stop working, the money stops. That's not overflow. That's a treadmill. Overflow is when you create something once and get paid for it multiple times. A digital product, an online course, a book, an investment, a system, a process. Anything that generates value beyond the initial effort. You don't need to build 10 income streams right now. You need to build one and optimize it. Think about one skill or piece of knowledge you have that people would pay to access repeatedly. Maybe it's a template, a guide, a workshop, a membership. Something you create once and sell many times. Once you've identified it, create the minimum viable version. Don't wait until it's perfect. Perfect is a delay tactic. Done is better than perfect. Launch it, get feedback, improve it. Within 90 days, you could have a passive income stream generating $500 to $5,000 a month depending on your niche and audience. That's overflow. That's money coming to you while you sleep, while you're working on something else, while you're living your life. That's the difference between trading time for money and building wealth. Overflow also requires tracking. You can't improve what you don't measure. Most people have no idea how much money they're making, where it's coming from, or what behaviors are generating it. They just hope for the best and feel stressed when the bank account gets low. Tracking removes the guesswork. Every day, you're going to track 4 numbers. How much money you received, how much money you asked for, how many opportunities you created, how many high-value conversations you had. These 4 numbers tell you everything about your frequency and your trajectory. If money received is going up, you're doing something right. If money asked for is going up, you're stretching into a new frequency. If opportunities created is high, you're being proactive. If high-value conversations is increasing, you're building the network that will pay you big money. Track these numbers in a simple spreadsheet or a journal. At the end of each week, review them. Celebrate the wins. Investigate the gaps. Adjust your actions based on what the data tells you. Most people avoid tracking because they don't want to face the truth of their current situation. But avoiding the truth doesn't change it. Facing the truth and making decisions based on it is how you break patterns and create new results. The numbers don't lie. They also don't judge. They just show you where you are and where you're going. If you want to compound your income by 20 to 30% over the next 90 days, tracking is non-negotiable. The simple act of paying attention to your money behaviors changes those behaviors automatically. Awareness creates accountability. Accountability creates results. Let's talk about self-sabotage now, because this is the hidden force that destroys wealth faster than anything else. Most people don't fail because they can't make money. They fail because they unconsciously sabotage themselves once they start making it. Self-sabotage looks like suddenly overspending after a big payday. It looks like making a bad investment because you felt invincible. It looks like picking a fight with a high-value client because deep down you don't believe you deserve them. It looks like neglecting your health, relationships, or systems right when things start working. Your subconscious has a thermostat set to a certain level of financial comfort. When you exceed that level, your subconscious panics and tries to bring you back down to what feels familiar. It's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to protect you from the unknown. The way to overcome self-sabotage is to identify your patterns before they activate. Think about past times you made good money. What happened next? Did you spend it all immediately? Did you stop doing the things that brought the money in? Did you create drama or chaos in some other area of your life? Whatever you did then, you'll do again unless you install a circuit breaker. A circuit breaker is a pre-decided rule that stops the sabotage pattern before it completes. For example, if you tend to overspend after a windfall, your circuit breaker might be a 48-hour waiting period before making any purchase over $500. If you tend to ghost clients after they pay you, your circuit breaker might be a calendar reminder to check in with them every week. If you tend to stop marketing once you have enough work, your circuit breaker might be committing to one visibility action per day, no matter how busy you are. Self-sabotage thrives in unconsciousness. When you bring it into the light and name it, it loses its power. You might still feel the impulse, but you'll catch yourself before you act on it. That pause is everything. That pause is where growth happens. Over time, the new behavior becomes the default, and the old pattern fades. But you have to stay vigilant, especially in the first 90 days of making more money. That's when your subconscious is working overtime to bring you back to baseline. Expect resistance. Expect discomfort. Expect the urge to quit or sabotage. And when those feelings arise, remind yourself that they're just proof you're growing. They're not truth. They're noise, and you're strong enough to override them. Let me take you through a visualization now. Close your eyes if you're in a safe place to do so, or just soften your gaze if you're driving or walking. Take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it for 3 seconds, and release it slowly through your mouth. Do that 2 more times. Now I want you to imagine yourself exactly 90 days from today. You're waking up in the morning, and the first thing you do is check your phone. You see a notification. It's a payment. Money has come into your account while you were sleeping. You smile because this happens often now. You get up, make your coffee or tea, and sit down to start your day. You're not stressed. You're not scrambling. You're calm and focused because you know money is flowing to you consistently. You open your calendar and see 2 high-value meetings scheduled, both with people who are excited to work with you and happy to pay your premium rates. You spend the next few hours working on something you love, something that generates value and income simultaneously. Around midday, you get a message from a colleague or client thanking you for the transformation you helped them create. You feel proud. You feel fulfilled. You're not just making money, you're making an impact. In the evening, you check your tracking sheet and see that this month you've already exceeded your previous best month by 40%. You take a moment to let that sink in. You did this. You shifted your frequency, took aligned action, and the universe responded. This is your new normal. Take one more deep breath, wiggle your fingers and toes, and open your eyes. That future is not a fantasy. It's a frequency you just experienced. Your job now is to live from that frequency starting today. Now I need you to answer a question honestly. What would have to be true about you for that vision to be your reality? Would you have to believe you're worth more? Would you have to act with more confidence? Would you have to stop hiding and start showing up? Would you have to release resentment toward money or wealthy people? Whatever comes up, that's your work. That's the gap between where you are and where you're going. The gap isn't huge. It's not years away. It's a frequency shift, and frequency can shift in an instant if you're willing to do the internal work and take the external action. Before we dive into the deep implementation work, I need to address something that might be sitting heavy on your chest right now. You might be thinking, this all sounds great, but my situation is different. I have real bills, real debt, real responsibilities. I don't have the luxury of experimenting with manifestation and frequency. I hear you. And I'm going to tell you something that might sting, but it's the truth you need. That story you just told yourself, that's your frequency. That's the exact signal that's been keeping you stuck. Wealthy people have bills too. They have responsibilities too. The difference is they don't use those things as reasons why they can't. They use them as reasons why they must. Let me tell you about Marcus. He was a personal trainer making $38,000 a year, barely scraping by, behind on rent, driving a car that was one breakdown away from being totaled. He had every reason to stay stuck in survival mode. But he made a decision. He committed to the system for 21 days with 0 exceptions. On day 1, he woke up and said his identity statement out loud. I am a magnet for big money. Money flows to me easily from multiple sources. I am worth far more than I currently charge. He did his morning money scan. Then, before he started his first client session at 6 in the morning, he sent one email. That email was to a former client who had moved to a corporate job 6 months earlier. Marcus had been thinking about reaching out for months, but always convinced himself it was pointless. The email was simple. Hey Jessica, hope you're doing well at the new company. I was thinking about you the other day and wondering if your office has any kind of wellness program. I've started offering corporate group training sessions, and I thought it might be something that could benefit your team. No pressure at all, just thought I'd mention it. Let me know if you'd like to grab coffee and catch up sometime. He sent it at 5:45 in the morning. By 8 in the morning, Jessica had responded. Funny you should mention that. We've been talking about starting something, but haven't found the right person. Would you be open to meeting with our HR director? Marcus met with the HR director 3 days later. They asked what he charged for corporate sessions. His old frequency would have said maybe $300 for a group session. Terrified they'd say no. His new frequency, barely a week old, said I run 8-week programs, 2 sessions per week, for groups up to 20 people. The investment is $3,000 per month. He held his breath. The HR director didn't even blink. She said, when can you start? That one email, sent because Marcus committed to taking one aligned action before 10 in the morning every single day, generated $36,000 over 12 weeks. Almost his entire previous year's income. From one action. Taken from a new frequency, while he still had all his bills, all his debt, all his problems. The problems didn't go away before he took action. He took action despite the problems, and the action created the solution. Now let me break down exactly what Marcus did right, because you need to understand the mechanics so you can replicate them. First, he started his day with identity work, not problem focus. Most people wake up and immediately think about what's wrong, what they don't have, what's stressing them out. That sets a low frequency for the entire day. Marcus intentionally set a high frequency first thing. Second, he took aligned action within 2 hours of waking. He didn't wait until he felt ready or had all the answers. He just did one thing that someone operating at his desired frequency would do. Third, he made the action simple and specific. He didn't try to overhaul his entire business or figure out his life purpose. He just sent one email to one person. Simple, doable, aligned. Fourth, he detached from the outcome. He said no pressure in the email. He meant it. He wasn't desperate. He was planting a seed and moving on. That detachment is what made the energy attractive. You can do exactly what Marcus did starting tomorrow morning. You don't need special circumstances. You don't need everything figured out. You just need to commit to the protocol and execute it regardless of how you feel. Which brings me to the day-by-day implementation system, because this is where theory becomes money in your bank account. Day 1 starts the moment you wake up tomorrow, before your feet hit the floor, before you check your phone, before the world rushes in with its demands. You say this out loud. I am a magnet for big money. Money flows to me easily from multiple sources. I am worth far more than I currently charge. Say it 3 times. Let it feel weird. Let it feel fake. Say it anyway. Your subconscious doesn't care if you believe it yet. It just needs the repetition. After you say it, you do your 60-second money scan. You think about every possible source of money that could come to you today. Your job, a refund, a payment, a new client, a side gig, a gift, money you find, opportunities you create. You're not trying to make it happen. You're just opening your mind to the possibility that money is abundant and accessible. Then, before 10 in the morning, you take one aligned action. This is non-negotiable. 1 email, 1 post, 1 message, 1 conversation, 1 application, 1 outreach. Something that the wealthy version of you would do naturally. If you're a freelancer, reach out to a potential client. If you're employed, research companies hiring for roles that pay more than you currently make. If you're building something, create 1 piece of content that showcases your expertise. The action doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. And it has to be done before 10 in the morning, before your day gets away from you and excuses pile up. At the end of day 1, you log your 4 tracking numbers. Money received today. Money asked for today. Opportunities created today. High-value conversations today. Then you write down 3 wins from the day. Did you do the morning protocol? That's a win. Did you take your aligned action? That's a win. Did you resist the urge to complain about money when someone asked how you're doing? That's a win. Write them down. Read them before bed. This trains your brain to look for evidence of progress instead of evidence of failure. Day 2. You add 1 new element. After your morning protocol, sometime during the day, you're going to rewrite 1 money story. Pick 1 limiting belief you catch yourself thinking or saying. Maybe it's I'm not good with money. Maybe it's rich people are lucky. Maybe it's I'll never get ahead. Write it down. Then write the opposite. I'm learning to be excellent with money. Rich people make strategic decisions, and I can learn to do the same. I'm building momentum. Day 6 is Generosity Day. You're going to give value to someone without expecting anything in return. Answer a question in a forum. Send a helpful article to a connection. Leave a thoughtful review for a service or product you love. Make an introduction between 2 people who should know each other. Why does this matter for attracting money? Because generosity is a high-frequency behavior. It signals abundance. It says I have so much value that I can give it freely. When you operate from overflow, even before you have it physically, the universe responds to that energy. What you give returns multiplied, though never from the source you expect. This is not transactional. This is energetic. Day 7 is your first weekly review. Sit down with your tracking sheet and look at your 4 numbers from the week. Which number is highest? That's your strength. Double down on it next week. Which number is lowest? That's your growth edge. Commit to improving it by 50% next week. Then read through your daily wins from all 7 days. You completed 7 days of a new operating system. That's huge. Most people quit by day 3. You didn't. Celebrate that. Your brain needs positive reinforcement to keep going. If you punish yourself for not being further along, you'll quit. If you celebrate every step forward, you'll keep walking. Now let's go into the practice scripts, because this is where confidence gets built. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you develop through repetition. I'm going to give you 7 scripts for common money situations. Your job is to practice these out loud until they feel natural, not comfortable natural. There's a difference. Natural means they come out smoothly even if your heart is racing. Comfortable might never happen, and that's fine. You don't need comfortable. You need competent. Script 1 is for stating your rate when you're nervous about the new higher number. Here's what you say. My rate for this type of work is X amount. That includes delivery of the full project, 2 rounds of revisions, and a 30-day support period. When would you like to start? Notice what's not in that script. No apology. No justification. No, well, it depends, or I could maybe lower it if budget is tight. Just clarity, brief context of what they're getting, and an assumptive close that moves directly to next steps. Practice this until you can say your new rate with the same neutrality you'd use to state your phone number. If they push back on price, here's script 2. I understand budget is always a consideration. Unfortunately, I'm not able to lower my rate for this scope because the value I deliver is directly tied to the process I use, and reducing the price would mean cutting corners that would compromise the result. What I can offer is a smaller scope version at a lower price point if that works better for you. Would you like me to outline what that would look like? This script does multiple things simultaneously. It acknowledges their concern without caving. It explains why you won't discount without sounding defensive. It offers an alternative that keeps you in control and maintains your value. And it asks a question that moves the conversation forward instead of creating a dead end. Script 3 is for when you want to ask for a raise but don't know how to start. Here's what you say to your manager. I'd like to schedule 20 minutes this week to discuss my compensation. I've been reflecting on the impact I've been creating for the team and the company, and I believe there's an opportunity to better align my salary with the value I'm contributing. Does Thursday afternoon or Friday morning work better for you? Notice you're not apologizing for wanting more money. You're framing it as an alignment conversation. You're also giving them 2 specific time options, which makes it psychologically easier for them to say yes to one, rather than having to propose a time themselves. When you have the actual meeting, here's script 4. Thank you for taking the time to meet. I want to start by saying I really value being part of this team, and I'm committed to continuing to contribute at a high level. Over the past 6 months, I've led these 3 major projects, which resulted in these specific outcomes. I've also taken on these additional responsibilities that weren't originally part of my role. Based on the market rate for someone with my experience and skill set, plus the value I'm creating here, I'd like to discuss adjusting my salary to X amount. I believe that's fair given the scope of what I'm delivering. What are your thoughts? This script works because it starts with appreciation and commitment, which puts them at ease. It provides specific evidence of value, not vague claims. It references market data, which takes emotion out of it. It states a clear number, which gives them something concrete to work with. And it ends with an open question that invites dialogue. If they say yes, great. If they say no or not right now, your follow-up question is this. I understand. Can you help me understand what I would need to demonstrate or achieve to earn that salary within the next 6 months? This turns a no into a roadmap. Most people hear no and give up. You're turning it into clarity and action steps. Script 5 is for reaching out to someone in your network when you want to build a relationship or explore an opportunity. Here's the template. Hi name, I've been following your work on specific thing and I'm really impressed by how you've approached specific aspect. I'm currently working on related thing and I'd love to learn from your experience. Would you be open to a 15-minute conversation sometime in the next few weeks? I'm happy to work around your schedule. This works because it's personalized, which shows you're not mass messaging. It's specific about what impressed you, which is genuine flattery. It's time-bound so it's not overwhelming. And it puts their convenience first, which respects their time. Script 6 is for when you post content but don't know what to say that positions you as valuable. Here's the formula. Most people think X about this topic, but actually Y is true. Here's what I've learned after doing this for N years. Then share one insight, lesson, or case study in 2 to 3 paragraphs. End with a question that invites engagement. What's been your experience with this? Have you found the same thing? I'd love to hear your thoughts. This formula works because it creates a pattern interrupt by challenging common assumptions. It establishes authority by referencing your experience. It provides value by teaching something useful. And it invites conversation, which boosts algorithmic reach and builds relationships. Script 7 is for following up when someone hasn't responded and you don't want to seem desperate. Here's what you send. Hi name, just circling back on my message from last week about specific thing. I know you're busy and things get buried, so I wanted to make sure this didn't slip through the cracks. If the timing isn't right on your end, no worries at all. Just let me know and I'm happy to check back in a few months. This is perfect because it's low pressure but persistent. It gives them an out without making you seem needy. It shows respect for their time. If they don't respond to this, you let it go and move on. Chasing people who aren't interested is low-frequency behavior that trains you to tolerate being ignored. Practice all 7 scripts this week. Say them out loud to yourself. Record them and listen back. Send them to a friend and ask for feedback. Adjust the wording to fit your voice. The specific words matter less than the energy behind them. The energy you're cultivating is calm, clear confidence. You know your value. You communicate it without apology. You're unattached to any single outcome because you know there are abundant opportunities. That energy is magnetic. It makes people want to say yes, even if they weren't planning to. Now we need to talk about relapse and how to recover from it, because you will have days where you fall off track. Maybe you wake up late and skip the morning protocol. Maybe you have a discouraging day and don't take any aligned action. Maybe someone rejects you harshly and you spiral into doubt for 72 hours. Relapse isn't failure. It's part of the process, but you need a system to get back on track quickly, because the longer you stay off track, the harder it is to restart. First, identify your high-risk situations. These are the circumstances most likely to trigger old patterns. For most people, the high-risk situations are financial stress, rejection or criticism, comparing yourself to others, physical exhaustion, or isolation. Write down your top 3 high-risk situations. Then, for each one, write a pre-planned response. For example, if financial stress is your trigger, your pre-planned response might be this. When I feel stressed about money, I will take a 10-minute walk. Read my quantum ass statement 3 times. Remind myself that stress repels money while calm confidence attracts it, and then take one small aligned action within the hour. If rejection is your trigger, your response might be this. When someone says no or ghosts me, I will remind myself that rejection is redirection, not a reflection of my value. I will write down 3 pieces of evidence that I'm good at what I do. Then I will reach out to 2 new people within 24 hours. Having a pre-planned response removes the need to make a good decision when you're emotionally hijacked. You've already decided what you'll do. You just execute. This is how resilience is built. Resilient people aren't people who never fall down. They're people who have systems to get back up quickly. Second, use the 5-minute reset ritual. When you realize you've been off track for a day or more, don't shame yourself. Do this instead. Set a timer. Third, reach out to your accountability person or write in your journal. Say this: I fell off track for X days. Here's what triggered it. Here's what I'm doing today to get back on. The simple act of acknowledging the slip reduces its power. When you hide it, it grows. When you expose it, it shrinks. Your accountability partner doesn't need to coach you or fix you. They just need to say, I see you, keep going. That's enough to restart your momentum. Fourth, shrink the commitment when necessary. If the full protocol feels overwhelming after a relapse, do a micro version. Say your identity statement once instead of 3 times. Do a 30-second money scan instead of 60. Send 1 text instead of writing a full email. The point is to maintain the streak, even in reduced form, so you don't lose the identity. 1% is infinitely better than 0. 1% keeps the flame alive. 0 extinguishes it. Let me tell you about Terrence, so you can see what relapse and recovery look like in real time. Terrence was a software developer making $70,000 a year, dreaming of freelancing but terrified of leaving his stable paycheck. He committed to the 21-day challenge. Days 1 through 10 were great. He was doing the morning protocol. He was posting coding tips on LinkedIn. He was reaching out to people in his network. On day 11, he recorded a video explaining a technical concept. Someone left a snarky comment saying he clearly didn't understand the topic and should stick to his day job. Terrence was devastated. He deleted the video within an hour. He stopped posting. He skipped the morning protocol for 3 days straight. He convinced himself the whole thing was stupid and he'd made a fool of himself. On day 14, his accountability partner, his wife, asked him why he hadn't been doing his morning routine. That question pierced through the spiral. He realized he'd given one random internet troll the power to derail his entire transformation. He did the 5-minute reset ritual, read his quantum ask, wrote down a win from the week before the video incident. He'd had 2 great conversations with potential clients, stated his identity. Then he took a micro-action. He sent a follow-up email to one of those potential clients he'd talked to the week before. The client responded within an hour, asked if Terrence was available for a project. They negotiated. Terrence's old frequency would have said $50 an hour. His new frequency, barely hanging on after the relapse, said 125. The client didn't hesitate, said yes. The project was 60 hours. That's $7,500 from one email, sent during a recovery from a 3-day relapse. Terrence told me later that the snarky comment was the best thing that could have happened. It forced him to confront his fear of judgment. He realized he'd been playing small his whole career to avoid criticism. Once he pushed through it and kept going anyway, nothing could stop him. By day 90, he'd left his job, signed 4 freelance contracts, and was making more per month than he used to make in 2. The relapse didn't destroy him. It refined him. That's the power of having a recovery protocol. Now let's talk about the Money Momentum Tracker in granular detail, because this single tool will give you more clarity and results than anything else. Every single day for 90 days, you log 4 numbers and 3 wins. Here's exactly how to structure it so it's effortless and powerful. Get a simple spreadsheet. Google Sheets works perfectly. Column A is date. Column B is money received. Every dollar that came in that day. Paycheck, refund, side income, gift, found money, everything. Even if it's 0, you write 0. Column C is money asked for. Every time you stated a price, sent a proposal, asked for a raise, mentioned your rate, even if they said no. You're tracking your courage to ask, not just successful closes. Column D is opportunities created. Number of posts, emails, applications, messages, conversations, or actions taken that could lead to money. Column E is high-value conversations. Number of interactions with people who operate at a higher financial frequency than you currently do. Column F is your 3 daily wins. Just 3 bullet points. Tiny things absolutely count. At the end of each week, row 53 or wherever your week ends, you create a sum formula for columns B through E. You're totaling money received this week, money asked for this week, opportunities created, conversations had. This gives you a weekly snapshot. Then you look for trends. Is money received trending up week over week? Is money asked for increasing? Are you creating more opportunities? Having more conversations? If any column is flat or declining, you know exactly where to focus energy next week. But here's what most people miss. The tracker isn't just about the numbers. It's about the identity shift that happens when you track consistently. When you write down your wins every day, you start seeing yourself as someone who's winning. When you track money asked for, you see yourself as someone bold enough to ask. When you track opportunities created, you see yourself as proactive, not reactive. The tracking creates the identity. The identity creates the behavior. The behavior creates the results. It's a loop that compounds. I want you to imagine what your tracker looks like on day 90. You've logged 90 consecutive days of wins. You've logged 90 days of asking for money. You've logged 90 days of creating opportunities. Even if only 5% converted, you'd still have a completely different financial reality. But it won't be 5%. It'll be higher because your frequency compounds over time. The more you do it, the better you get. The better you get, the more money flows. Now let's go deep into overflow systems, because this is how you move from trading time for money to building wealth. There are 5 overflow models, and you're going to pick one to build over the next 90 days. Model 1 is digital products. Create a template, guide, course, ebook, checklist, or toolkit that solves one painful problem for one specific audience. Sell it for $27 to $500 depending on complexity. Once created, it's evergreen. You sell it forever. The key is keeping it simple. Don't create a 50-hour course. Create a 90-minute course that solves one urgent problem. Price it at $97. Sell 10 per month. That's almost 1,000 passive. Sell 50, that's almost 5,000. All from something created once. Model 2 is membership or subscription. Create a community, newsletter, resource library, or ongoing training that people pay for monthly. Could be $10, could be $100, depending on value. The beauty is predictable recurring revenue. 50 people at 50 per month is $2,500 every month without hunting for new clients constantly. The work is front-loaded building it, then maintenance mode. Model 3 is affiliate or referral income. Recommend products, tools, or services you already use. When people buy through your link, you earn commission. This works if you have audience or network. You're not selling. You're sharing what's valuable. Some programs pay 5%, others 50%. It compounds. Model 4 is licensing or royalties. If you create original content, writing, music, art, photography, designs, license it and earn every time someone uses it. Platforms like Shutterstock, Adobe Stock, Gumroad, Etsy make this accessible. Create once, earn repeatedly. Model 5 is investing. Take money you're now earning at higher rates and make it work for you. Real estate, index funds, dividend stocks, whatever aligns with your risk tolerance. Investing turns money into a money-making machine. This requires capital, which is why you focus on the other models first. But eventually, this is what builds generational wealth. Pick one model. Build the minimum viable version in 90 days. Don't wait for perfect. Launch it rough. Get feedback. Improve. Iterate. Within 6 months, you could have one overflow stream generating 1,000 to 5,000 monthly. Within a year, add a second. Suddenly you have financial breathing room. You're not desperate for the next client. That calm changes everything about your frequency, which ironically attracts more money. Let me tell you about Sophie, who built Overflow using Model 1. Sophie was a copywriter charging per project, always hustling. She created a 50-page guide on writing high-converting email sequences. Priced it at $147. Took 2 weekends to write and design. She launched to her email list of 300 people. 12 bought in week 1. That's over $1,700 from 2 weekends. She promoted it monthly through simple emails and occasional social posts. Over 6 months, 83 copies sold. Over 12,000 in overflow from 2 weekends of work. Meanwhile, she kept doing client work, but now with a cushion and confidence from multiple streams. The overflow system also changes your frequency profoundly. When money comes from multiple sources, you're not desperate. Desperation repels, abundance attracts. When a client tries to negotiate down, you're calm because you have overflow. When payment delays, you're fine because you have overflow. That unattached energy makes you magnetic to bigger money. It's a cycle feeding itself. Let's talk about what happens after day 90, because that's when real magic begins. 21 days creates a habit. 90 days creates identity. By day 90, these practices aren't forced. They're automatic. You don't convince yourself to do morning protocol. You just do it because it's who you are. You don't psych up to ask higher rates. You state them because you know you're worth it. You don't force visibility. You show up. After review, set new goals. If your quantum ask was 50,000 and you hit it, new ask is 100,000. If you didn't hit it but made progress, identify the one thing that held you back. Was it not asking enough? Not creating enough opportunities? Not having enough conversations? You have data now. Use it, then teach someone what you learned. This cements transformation. When you teach, you internalize deeper. Find one person where you were 90 days ago. Share the system. Walk them through protocols, tracking, scripts. Offer to be their accountability partner. When you help someone shift frequency, yours rises higher. Generosity and abundance are the same frequency. Let me give you one final story. Robert was a consultant making $90,000, decent but not the big money he wanted. He committed to 90 days full intensity. Days 1 through 21 built habits. Days 22 through 60 refined positioning, raised rates from $150 an hour to $300, started conversations with companies he thought were out of reach. Days 61 through 90 closed 3 major contracts. One was a 6-month retainer at $15,000 monthly. In 90 days, income trajectory completely changed. But bigger than money was belief. He knew without doubt he could create money whenever needed. That knowing is priceless. It's the difference between being at mercy of circumstances and being in control of financial destiny. Robert said something I'll never forget. I used to think rich people had secrets I didn't know. Now I realize they just have a different operating system. Once I upgraded my OS, results were inevitable. That's what you've been doing. Upgrading your operating system. Installing new beliefs, behaviors, standards. Old you operated at one frequency and got certain results. New you operates higher and gets different results. Not magic, mechanics. Here's your final assignment. Right now, take out your phone. Set 3 alarms. First alarm tomorrow morning at wake time. Label it, I am a magnet for big money. Second alarm, tomorrow evening when you'll log tracking numbers. Label it, track and win. Third alarm, 21 days from today. Label it, review and recalibrate. These alarms are external accountability until habits become internal. Then write your quantum ask one more time. Specific amount, specific date, specific feeling. Put it where you'll see it daily. Bathroom mirror, phone wallpaper, computer desktop, bedside. You need to see it so often, your subconscious has no choice but to accept it as reality. Tell one person what you're doing. Not everyone. One supportive person. Say I'm committing to a 21-day money transformation. I'm tracking progress, taking aligned actions daily, shifting my relationship with money. Will you check in with me weekly? Get their yes. That verbal commitment makes it real. Finally, take your first aligned action within the next hour. Not tomorrow, right now. Send one email. Post one piece of content. Reach out to one person. Make one decision wealthy you would make. That action is the bridge between who you've been and who you're becoming. Cross it. You have everything you need. Knowledge, tools, scripts, tracking, support. The only variable is commitment. Are you all in or just curious? Curiosity gets information. Commitment gets transformation. Which are you choosing? But before you answer that question, I need to give you the complete day-by-day blueprint for days 8 through 21, because this is where most people lose momentum. The first week is exciting. The novelty carries you. Week 2 is where discipline takes over. Week 3 is where transformation becomes permanent. Miss week 2 and 3, and you'll be back at baseline within a month. Complete them, and you'll have a new operating system that runs automatically for the rest of your life. Day 8 is all about confronting your upper limit. Your upper limit is the invisible ceiling you've placed on how much money you believe you can make. It's operating in your subconscious right now, and unless you identify it and push against it, it will cap your results no matter how hard you work. Here's how you find it. Close your eyes and imagine receiving a payment for $50,000. Not over time, all at once. How does your body respond? Do you feel excited, or does something contract inside you? Does a voice whisper that's too much, or who do you think you are? That contraction, that whisper, that's your upper limit talking. Today you're going to write down the number that makes you feel that contraction. For some people it's 10,000. For others it's 500,000. There's no right answer, just honesty. Once you have the number, you're going to write it at the top of a page. Then underneath, you're going to write this question. What would I need to believe about myself to comfortably receive this amount? Write for 10 minutes. Let whatever comes up come up. Maybe you'd need to believe you're valuable enough. Maybe you'd need to believe you won't lose yourself if you have money. Maybe you'd need to believe wealthy people aren't inherently corrupt. Whatever it is, write it. This exercise exposes the invisible barrier. Once you see it, you can work with it. While it's invisible, it controls you. Day 9 is about strategic visibility, and this is where many people resist because it requires being seen. You're going to create one piece of content that positions you as someone worth paying big money. Not just any content. Strategic content that demonstrates expertise without giving everything away. Here's the formula. Pick one problem your ideal client or customer is currently experiencing. Describe the problem in a way that makes them think, yes, that's exactly what I'm dealing with. Then share one insight or perspective shift that helps them see the problem differently. Not the full solution, just a reframe. End with an invitation to connect if they want to explore the solution further. For example, if you're a business consultant, you might write about why most companies focus on getting more customers when they should focus on increasing the value per customer they already have. You explain the problem, offer a perspective shift, give one concrete example, then invite people to reach out if they want to discuss applying this to their business. The post should take someone 3 to 5 minutes to read. That's the sweet spot. Long enough to demonstrate value, short enough to hold attention. Post it on the platform where your ideal clients spend time, whether that's LinkedIn, Instagram, a blog, Medium, or a niche forum. Then let it sit. Don't obsess over likes or comments. You planted a seed. Seeds don't sprout in a day. Day 10 is designed to break your comfort zone around money conversations. You're going to ask 3 people what they earn or charge. Not random people. People who are 1 or 2 steps ahead of you in their career or business. The conversation can happen in person, over a call, or via message, but it has to happen. Here's how you frame it. You say, I'm working on leveling up my income and I'm trying to get a better sense of market rates in our industry. Would you be comfortable sharing what you charge or what salary range you're in? No pressure if you'd rather not, I completely understand. Most people will say yes, especially if you frame it as market research rather than nosiness. Why does this matter? Because most people dramatically underestimate what's possible for them because they only know their own number and maybe 1 or 2 friends' numbers. When you talk to people making 2 or 3 times what you make and realize they're not that different from you, it explodes your sense of what's achievable. You stop seeing your current income as a ceiling and start seeing it as a temporary stepping stone. Those 3 conversations will do more to shift your frequency than a month of affirmations. Real data from real people creates real belief. Day 11, you're implementing what I call the premium positioning exercise. You're going to imagine that your rates or salary just tripled overnight. You now charge 3 times what you currently charge, or you earn 3 times your current salary. How would you have to show up differently? How would you communicate? How would you handle objections? How would you deliver? Write down 10 specific changes you'd make in how you operate. Maybe you'd respond to emails more thoughtfully instead of instantly. Maybe you'd set clearer boundaries around your availability. Maybe you'd invest in better tools or support. Maybe you'd stop apologizing for your prices. Whatever comes up, write it down. Here's the key. Pick 3 of those 10 changes and implement them this week, even though you haven't tripled your income yet. You're training yourself to operate at a higher frequency before the external reality matches. This is how Michael did it. This is how every person who makes a quantum leap does it. They start being the person who earns that money before they actually earn it. The universe responds to who you're being, not who you've been. Day 12 is generosity with strategy. On day 6, you practiced giving without expectation. Today, you're giving strategically to people who can amplify your value. Make a list of 5 people who have influence in your industry or niche. People who have audiences, networks, or platforms. Then give each of them something genuinely valuable, a thoughtful introduction, a piece of feedback on their work, a resource they'd find useful, a case study or testimonial if you've used their product, an insight from your area of expertise that relates to something they're working on. You're not asking for anything. You're just giving, but you're giving to people who, if they remember you positively, can open doors you couldn't open yourself. One of those 5 might become a client. Then you're going to ask yourself 3 questions. First, where am I tolerating less money than I'm worth? Maybe it's a client who pays late. Maybe it's a job that underpays you. Maybe it's a project you said yes to because you felt obligated. Write it down. Second, what's one expense I could cut that wouldn't impact my quality of life? Everyone has something. A subscription they don't use. A habit they could shift. Money leaking out unnecessarily. Third, what's one income opportunity I've been ignoring or avoiding? An idea you haven't pursued. A conversation you haven't had. A skill you could monetize. Write down all 3 answers. Then, before the day ends, take action on one of them. Cancel the subscription, send the email, have the conversation. The money date isn't just awareness. It's activation. Day 14 is your midpoint. You're halfway through the 21-day challenge. This is statistically where most people quit. The excitement has worn off. The results might feel slower than you hoped. The old voice in your head is saying, "See, I told you this wouldn't work." This is the day you double down. You're going to review your tracking sheet from days 1 through 13. Add up all the money received over those 13 days. Add up all the money you asked for. Add up all the opportunities created. Add up all the high-value conversations. Then write down 10 wins from the past 2 weeks. Not 3, 10. Force yourself to find 10 things you did that moved you forward. Maybe you showed up every day. That's a win. Maybe you asked for more money than you ever have before. Even if they said no, that's a win. Maybe you posted content that scared you. Win. Maybe you had a money conversation that was uncomfortable. Win. Maybe you caught yourself complaining about money and chose to reframe instead. Win. By the time you've written 10, you'll realize you're not failing. You're building. The results are coming. They're just on a lag. Your job is to keep broadcasting the signal while the physical reality catches up. After you've written your 10 wins, you're going to recommit. Out loud. Say this: I am halfway through 21 days of financial transformation. I've already changed in ways I might not fully see yet. I'm committed to finishing strong. I will not quit 7 days before my breakthrough. Then send a message to your accountability person. Tell them you hit the midpoint and you're not stopping. That declaration has power. It reignites commitment when motivation fades. Day 15 is the premium experience day. Remember day 10 when you imagined what you'd do differently if you charged 3 times more? Today you're going to experience what it's like to be on the receiving end of premium service. Go somewhere that caters to wealthy people and just observe. It could be a high-end hotel lobby, an upscale restaurant, a luxury car dealership, a boutique that sells things you can't afford yet. You don't have to buy anything. Just be in the space. Notice how the staff treats people. Notice the environment. Notice the energy. Notice how comfortable or uncomfortable you feel. This exercise recalibrates your nervous system. Most people feel out of place in wealthy environments because their subconscious believes they don't belong. That belief repels wealth. By intentionally putting yourself in these spaces, you're training your nervous system to feel comfortable around money. The more comfortable you are in proximity to wealth, the more naturally you'll attract it. If you feel resistance to doing this, that resistance is exactly why you need to do it. The discomfort is the growth edge. Day 16 is about closing a loop. You're going to follow up with everyone you've reached out to in the past 2 weeks who hasn't responded. The email you sent, the message you left, the connection request. All of it. You're not going to chase them desperately. You're going to send one simple, low-pressure follow-up. Here's the script. Hey name, just wanted to follow up on my message from last week about specific thing. I know things get busy and messages get buried. If you're interested in chatting, I'd love to connect. If now isn't the right time, no worries at all. Either way, hope you're doing well. Send it and let it go. If they respond, great. If they don't, you move on. The point isn't forcing conversations. The point is closing loops so you're not leaving opportunities hanging. Unfinished business clutters your mental space and drains your energy. Even a no or a silence is better than an open loop. You're training yourself to follow through completely on every action, which is a high-frequency behavior. Day 17 is designed to stretch your asking muscle. You're going to ask for something you want, but have been too afraid or too polite to ask for. It could be asking your boss for a project you'd love to work on. It could be asking a colleague for an introduction to someone they know. It could be asking a friend for a referral to a potential client. It could be asking someone with a platform to share your work. The specific ask doesn't matter. What matters is that you practice asking for what you want instead of waiting for someone to offer it. Most people live their entire lives waiting to be chosen, waiting for someone to notice them, promote them, hire them, pay them more. Wealthy people ask. They don't wait. They identify what they want and they make the request clearly and confidently. Yes, sometimes they hear no, but they hear yes far more often than people who never ask. Today, you make one bold ask. If they say yes, you win. If they say no, you still win because you prove to yourself you're brave enough to ask. That courage compounds. Day 18. You're going to do something I call the value inventory. Take 30 minutes and make a list of every skill, experience, credential, relationship, or piece of knowledge you have that could be valuable to someone. Don't filter. Don't judge. Just list. You speak a second language. You know how to code. You've managed a team. You've built an audience. You've overcome a specific challenge. You have a network in a specific industry. You understand a specific tool or platform. You've sold something successfully. You can write clearly. You can design. You can organize. You can teach. Write it all down. Most people dramatically undervalue themselves because they've never actually inventoried their value. They focus on what they lack instead of what they have. Once you see everything listed out, you'll realize you have far more to offer than you thought. Then, pick 3 things from that list that you're not currently monetizing or leveraging fully. Those 3 things are untapped value. They're opportunities you're sitting on. Choose one and commit to monetizing it within the next 30 days. Create a service around it. Create a product. Offer it to someone who needs it. Turn latent value into actual income. Day 19 is your social proof day. You're going to collect evidence that you're good at what you do. Ask 3 clients, customers, colleagues, or anyone you've helped for a testimonial. If you've never asked before, this will feel uncomfortable. Ask anyway. Send a message that says this: Hey name, I'm working on building out my portfolio and client feedback section. Would you be willing to write a few sentences about your experience working with me? Specifically, what problem did I help you solve and what was the result? No pressure if you're too busy, but I'd really appreciate it. Most people will say yes. They'll send you something thoughtful. Take those testimonials and put them somewhere visible. On your website, in your email signature, in your LinkedIn profile, in your portfolio. Why does this matter? Because when you're asking someone to pay you big money, they need proof that you deliver value. Testimonials are that proof. But more importantly, collecting them reminds you of the value you create. It's evidence for your own subconscious that you're worth what you're asking for. Read them when you doubt yourself. They're your receipts. Day 20 is the big ask rehearsal. Tomorrow is your final day of the 21-day challenge. You've built momentum. You've shifted your frequency. You've taken aligned actions. Now it's time to make a big ask. But today, you practice. You're going to identify one person or opportunity where you could ask for significantly more money than you currently make. A client you could pitch a bigger project to. A company you could apply to for a role that pays double your salary. A product or service you could launch at a premium price point. Someone you could approach about a partnership or collaboration that could be lucrative. Once you've identified it, you're going to write out the ask. Not in your head, on paper, or in a document. What exactly would you say? How would you position the value? How would you state the price or salary expectation? What objections might come up and how would you handle them? Write it all out like a script. Then practice it out loud. Say it to yourself in the mirror, record it, and play it back. Say it until it stops feeling absurd and starts feeling possible. You might not send this ask tomorrow, but you're training your brain to see it as within reach. That alone raises your frequency. Day 21 is the final push, and it's the most important day of the entire challenge. This is the day you take your biggest aligned action of the 3 weeks. You're going to do something that scares you, something that requires you to fully step into your new identity. Send the big pitch you practiced yesterday. Apply for the job that feels out of reach. Post the piece of content you've been too afraid to share. Launch the product. Raise your rates with an existing client. Have the conversation you've been avoiding. Book the call with the person who intimidates you. Take the leap. Here's why day 21 is critical. Now let's talk about what happens when the 21 days are over, because this is where most people plateau or regress. They complete the challenge, feel proud, and then slowly drift back to old patterns. The morning protocol gets skipped. The tracking stops. The aligned actions become sporadic. Within a month, they're back at baseline wondering what happened. Don't let that be you. Here's your day 22 through 90 plan. Days 22 through 30, you're in what I call the integration phase. The goal isn't adding new practices. The goal is making the existing practices effortless. You're still doing the morning protocol, but now it takes 3 minutes instead of 10 because you've streamlined it. You're still tracking daily, but the habit is so ingrained you do it automatically. You're still taking aligned actions, but they flow naturally instead of requiring willpower. During this phase, focus on consistency over intensity. Show up every day even if it's a micro version. The habit is more important than the heroics. Days 31 through 60, you're in the amplification phase. Now you're adding volume. You're still doing everything from the first 30 days, but you're increasing the frequency or boldness. Maybe you were posting once a week, now you post twice. Maybe you were reaching out to 1 new person per week, now you reach out to 3. Maybe you were asking for 20% more, now you ask for 50% more. You're turning up the dial because your capacity has increased. What felt like a stretch on day 10 feels normal on day 40. Days 61 through 90, you're in the momentum phase. This is where the compound effect kicks in. Opportunities that were planted in weeks 1 through 4 start sprouting in weeks 9 through 12. People you reached out to in month 1 circle back in month 3. Content you posted in week 2 gets seen by someone important in week 10. All the seeds you planted start producing fruit. Your job during this phase is to keep planting while you harvest. Don't stop the activities that got you here just because results are showing up. The biggest mistake people make is stopping marketing once they're busy. Stay visible. Keep asking. Keep connecting. The momentum will compound exponentially if you don't stop feeding it. Now I need to prepare you for the advanced relapse scenarios, because life will test you. These aren't the simple one-day relapses where you skip the morning protocol. These are the big ones. The ones that can derail months of progress if you don't have a plan. Advanced relapse scenario. 1 is the financial emergency. Something breaks. A car repair. A medical bill. An unexpected expense that wipes out the little cushion you'd built. Your old frequency immediately activates. You panic. You start thinking about scarcity. You consider taking a job or client you know is beneath you just to get quick cash. Here's your protocol. First, take a full day before making any major financial decisions. Panic makes bad decisions. Give yourself 24 hours to regulate your nervous system. Second, do an emergency money scan. Where could money come from that you haven't considered? Could you sell something? Could you ask for an advance or payment plan? Could you reach out to your network? Solutions exist that panic blinds you to. Third, separate the actual problem from the story. The actual problem is you need X amount of dollars by Y date. The story is everything is falling apart, I'm failing, I'm back where I started. The story is a lie. Handle the actual problem without believing the story. Fourth, take one high-frequency action the same day you discover the problem. Apply for a well-paying job. Pitch a high-value client. Post an offer for your services. You're proving to yourself and the universe that you're not reverting to scarcity mode. You're solving the problem from abundance consciousness. Advanced relapse scenario 2 is the harsh rejection or public failure. Someone says something cruel about your work. A pitch gets rejected harshly. A post gets criticized publicly. A business attempt fails spectacularly. You feel humiliated. You want to hide, quit, Go back to playing small, where at least you're safe from judgment. Here's your protocol. First, feel the feeling for exactly 15 minutes. Set a timer. Cry, rage vent, whatever you need. But when the timer goes off, you're done processing. Second, separate the feedback from the shame. Is there anything actually useful in what happened? A legitimate critique you can learn from? If yes, extract it. If no, discard everything else. It's just noise. Third, tell the story to one trusted person who operates at a high frequency. Not someone who will coddle you, someone who will remind you who you're becoming. Fourth, do something visible within 24 hours. Post again. Reach out to someone new. Make an offer. You're proving that failure doesn't silence you. You're building failure resilience, which every wealthy person has in abundance. They fail more than average people because they attempt more. You're joining them. Advanced relapse scenario 3 is the comparison spiral. You see someone doing what you do, but they're 10 steps ahead. They're making more money, have more clients, look more successful. You fall into the trap of thinking you're behind. You'll never catch up. What's the point? Here's your protocol. First, unfollow or mute that person immediately. Not forever. Just for now while you're building your foundation. Comparison is a frequency killer. Remove the trigger. Second, go back to your tracking sheet and look at your own progress. Compare yourself to yourself from 30 days ago, not to someone else today. Are you ahead of where you were? Yes, that's all that matters. Third, remember that everyone's timeline is different and you have no idea what advantages they started with or what they sacrificed to get there. The comparison is meaningless. Fourth, use their success as proof of what's possible in your field, not as evidence of your inadequacy. If they can do it, market conditions exist for you to do it too. They're not competition, they're confirmation. Advanced relapse scenario 4 is the plateau. You've been making progress for weeks or months, and suddenly everything stalls. No new clients. No responses to outreach. No movement on opportunities. You start questioning if the whole thing was just beginner's luck. Here's your protocol. First, check your consistency. Did you subtly stop doing the activities that were working? Most plateaus are caused by unconscious coasting. Second, audit your positioning. Has the market shifted? Are you still solving a painful problem? Or have you drifted into nice-to-have territory? Sometimes a small positioning tweak reignites momentum. Third, increase volume. If you were doing X amount of outreach, double it for 2 weeks and see what happens. Sometimes plateaus are just math. You need more at-bats. Fourth, add a new skill or service. Maybe the market is telling you to evolve. What could you learn or add that would make you more valuable? Growth often requires shedding the old version and stepping into a new one. Advanced relapse scenario 5 is the success sabotage. This is the sneakiest one. You finally get the big client, the great opportunity, the significant payday, and then you unconsciously sabotage it. You miss a deadline. You deliver subpar work. You create interpersonal drama. You blow the money immediately. Your subconscious doesn't believe you deserve it, so it engineers failure. Here's your protocol. First, anticipate this before it happens. Knowing it's a pattern removes half its power. When good things happen, expect your subconscious to panic and plan for it. Second, get external accountability for high-stakes projects. Check in with someone weekly. Let them ask you the hard questions. Are you showing up fully? Are you delivering your best? Are you acting like someone who deserves this opportunity? Third, celebrate the win without immediately raising your lifestyle. When big money comes in, let it sit for 30 days before making any big purchases or commitments. This prevents the self-sabotage of overspending. Fourth, double down on your protocols when things go well. Most people do the work when they're struggling and stop when they're succeeding. Reverse that. Success is when you need the protocols most, because that's when sabotage strikes. Now let's get into the advanced practice scripts, because as you grow, you need more sophisticated language for bigger opportunities. These aren't entry-level scripts. These are for when you're playing at a higher level. Advanced Script 1 is for when you're negotiating a 6-figure contract or salary. Here's what you say after they've made an initial offer. Thank you for the offer. I'm excited about the opportunity and I think we could do great work together. Before I accept, I'd like to discuss the compensation structure. Based on the scope of what you're asking me to deliver, the market rate for someone with my expertise and track record, and the value I'll be creating for your organization, I was anticipating a total compensation in the range of specific number, which is X% higher than what you've offered. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. Then you stop talking. Let them respond. You've anchored high, provided justification, and invited dialogue without being aggressive. If they say they can't go that high, your follow-up is this. I understand budget constraints. What if we structured it with a base at your number and a performance bonus tied to specific metrics? That way, if I deliver the results we're both hoping for, the total compensation reaches what I'm looking for. You're solving their problem while protecting your value. Advanced Script 3 is for when you're being recruited and you want to set your salary high. The recruiter or hiring manager asks what salary you're looking for. You say this: I'm looking for a role where the total compensation reflects the impact I'll make and the market value for someone at my level. Based on my research and my experience, I'm targeting a range of low number to high number, with the understanding that the final number depends on the full package including equity, bonus structure, and benefits. I'm less concerned about hitting a specific number and more concerned about finding the right fit where I can do my best work and be compensated fairly for it. What does the range look like on your end? You've anchored high, shown flexibility, and put the ball in their court. They'll either tell you the range, which gives you information, or they'll ask you to be more specific, in which case you give them the high end of your range as your target. Advanced Script 4 is for when a client wants to negotiate down after you've delivered exceptional work. They love the result, but they're asking for a discount on the next project or questioning the invoice. Here's what you say: I'm so glad you're happy with the work. I really enjoyed the project. Regarding pricing, I want to be transparent with you. My rates are based on the value I deliver and the expertise I bring, and they're consistent across all my clients. I don't discount because doing so would mean I'd have to either cut corners on the work or take on more projects than I can handle, both of which would compromise the quality you just experienced. What I can offer is a retainer structure if you're interested in ongoing work, which gives you priority access and a streamlined process, though the effective rate stays in the same range. Does that work for you? You've complimented them, held your boundary, explained your reasoning without being defensive, and offered an alternative. If they push back again, you politely decline and move on. Clients who don't respect your pricing will drain your energy and lower your frequency. Advanced Script 5 is for when you're turning down work because it's beneath your new level. Someone offers you a project that's low paying or low value, and the old you would have said yes out of fear or obligation. The new you says this: Thank you so much for thinking of me. I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, this project isn't the right fit for where I'm focusing my time right now. I'm working primarily with clients in specific niche or specific type of work, and I want to make sure anyone I work with gets my full attention and best effort. I'd love to refer you to someone who'd be a great fit if you'd like. Then you actually make a referral if you can. You've declined graciously, you've explained your focus without insulting their project, and you've added value by offering a referral. That person will remember you positively even though you said no, and they might come back when they have a bigger project that fits your new positioning. Now let me give you the confidence-building exercises you'll need as you step into bigger opportunities, because visibility at a higher level requires a different kind of confidence. These exercises are designed to rewire your nervous system so you can operate calmly in situations that used to terrify you. Confidence exercise 1 is called exposure therapy for money conversations. Every day for 7 days, you're going to have one conversation where you talk about money in a way that makes you slightly uncomfortable. Day 1, tell someone what you charge. Day 2, ask someone what they charge. Day 3, tell someone about a financial goal you have. Day 4, ask someone for a referral that could lead to money. Day 5, tell someone about a big purchase you're considering or saving for. Day 6, share a money win publicly. Day 7, ask someone for advice on a financial decision. By day 7, talking about money will feel significantly less taboo. Your discomfort will have decreased measurably. That decrease is your nervous system adapting to a new normal. Confidence exercise 2 is the power pose protocol. Research shows that holding your body in expansive, confident postures for 2 minutes changes your hormone levels and increases feelings of confidence. Every day before a high-stakes conversation, presentation, or pitch, you're going to do this. Find a private space. Stand with your feet wide, hands on hips or raised above your head in a victory pose. Hold it for 2 full minutes while you breathe deeply. While you're holding the pose, say your identity statement. I'm a magnet for big money. I am worth far more than I charge. Wealthy people are good people, and I am one of them. The combination of the physical pose and the verbal affirmation primes your nervous system for confident performance. Confidence exercise 3 is building your victory log. Most people have a mental highlight reel of their failures and humiliations. Every time they face a challenge, their brain replays past failures as evidence that they'll fail again. You're going to override that with a victory log. Get a notebook or document labeled Victory Log. Every time you do something brave, win something, or succeed at something, write it down with the date. Doesn't matter how small. You sent a scary email. You asked for a higher rate. You posted content. You had a hard conversation. You delivered great work. Write it all down. Then, before any high-pressure situation, read through your victory log. You're reminding your brain that you're someone who wins, not someone who fails. Over time, your highlight reel shifts from failures to victories, and your default expectation becomes "I can do this" instead of "I'll probably fail." Confidence exercise 4 is the alter ego technique. Many high performers use this, often without realizing it. You create a version of yourself who's already operating at the level you want to reach. Give them a name if that helps. Imagine how they walk, talk, make decisions, handle pressure. What do they wear? How do they introduce themselves? What energy do they bring to a room? Get very specific. Then, before a situation where you need confidence, you mentally step into that alter ego. You're not being fake. You're trying on the version of yourself you're becoming. Over time, the alter ego stops being separate. It integrates. It becomes you. Now let's go deep into the wealth protection protocols, because making big money is only half the game. Keeping it and growing it is the other half. Most people who make sudden jumps in income lose it within a year or two because they never learned to manage wealth. These protocols prevent that. Wealth Protection Protocol 1 is the 72-hour rule. When big money comes in, you do not make any significant financial decisions for 72 hours. You don't buy the car. You don't book the vacation. You don't invest in the opportunity your friend just told you about. You let the money sit while your nervous system regulates. The first 72 hours after a windfall are when people make the worst decisions because they're emotionally activated. After 72 hours, your rational brain comes back online and you can make decisions from strategy instead of emotion. Wealth Protection Protocol 2 is the allocation system. Before money arrives, you decide where it's going. Use this formula: 50% to living expenses and financial obligations, 20% to savings or emergency fund, 20% to investing or growth, 10% to guilt-free spending on things that bring you joy. When money comes in, it immediately gets divided according to this formula. You're not winging it. You're not hoping you'll be responsible. You're automating the decision. This prevents lifestyle inflation from eating all your gains. Most people make more money and immediately raise their expenses to match. Their stress level doesn't decrease. You're going to raise your income faster than your expenses, so you create breathing room. Wealth Protection Protocol 3 is the wealth team. As you make more money, you need people who know more than you about money. A good accountant, a financial advisor, maybe a bookkeeper if you're running a business. Most people wait until they're already wealthy to hire these people. That's backwards. You hire them on the way up so they help you get there and keep it once you arrive. If you can't afford full-service professionals yet, find lower-cost options: online accounting services, robo-advisors, financial education courses. Invest in financial literacy now so you're prepared to manage the wealth you're creating. Wealth Protection Protocol 4 is the pre-commitment strategy. Before you receive big money, you commit in writing to what you won't do with it. I will not buy a new car in the first 6 months. I will not lend money to family without a clear repayment plan. I will not invest in any opportunity I don't fully understand. I will not upgrade my housing until I've sustained this income level for a full year. Whatever your weaknesses are, pre-commit to boundaries. When the money shows up and the temptation hits, you have a written contract with yourself. That contract is easier to honor than a vague intention. Let me tell you about Jennifer, because her story illustrates both the opportunity and the danger of sudden income increases. Jennifer was a social media manager making $42,000 a year. She applied the system, raised her rates dramatically, and within 4 months landed 3 retainer clients at $5,000 per month each. Her monthly income jumped from $3,500 to $15,000 overnight. She felt like she'd won the lottery. The first month, she celebrated by upgrading her apartment, buying new furniture, and taking a vacation. By month 3, her expenses had risen to match her income. That's when she called me. I walked her through the wealth protection protocols. She implemented the 72-hour rule. She set up the allocation system. She hired a bookkeeper. She wrote pre-commitments. 6 months later, she'd stabilized. She'd built a 3-month emergency fund. She'd started investing 15% of her income. She'd kept her lifestyle reasonable so one client leaving didn't create crisis. 2 years later, she's consistently making $20,000 per month, has multiple income streams, and has more financial security than she ever imagined. But she almost blew it in the first 3 months by not protecting what she built. Don't be early, Jennifer. Be late, Jennifer. Now I want to address the question you might not want to ask but need answered. What if you do all of this and it doesn't work? What if you complete 21 days, then 90 days, and you're not making big money? First, define not working. If you're making any more money than before you started, it's working. Progress isn't failure just because it's slower than you hoped. Second, audit your execution. Did you actually do the protocols every day, or did you skip regularly? Did you take genuine aligned actions, or did you do the minimum to check a box? Most people who say it didn't work didn't actually work it. Third, look at what did shift. Maybe you didn't hit your quantum ask number, but did you get more confident? Did you start conversations you wouldn't have started before? Did you see opportunities you were blind to before? Internal shifts precede external results. If the internal shifted, the external is coming. Fourth, extend the timeline. Some industries and situations take longer than others. If you're job hunting, 21 days might not be enough to land something, but 90 days probably is. If you're building a business from scratch, 90 days might only be foundation laying. But 6 months will show traction if you keep going. The system works if you work it. But it's not a lottery ticket. It's not a shortcut. It's a frequency shift that requires consistent action over time. If you half committed, you'll get half results. If you fully committed but gave up after 3 weeks, you quit right before the breakthrough. The people who say this doesn't work are the people who stopped before the compound effect kicked in. Don't be them. Let me give you the final integration piece, which is teaching what you learned. Because the best way to master something is to teach it. Once you've completed your 90 days, find one person who's where you were at day 0. Someone stuck, frustrated, under-earning, invisible. Offer to walk them through the system. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have made $1 million. You just have to be further along than they are. Walk them through the morning protocol. Show them your tracking sheet. Share the scripts. Tell them about your relapses and recoveries. Be their accountability partner. What you'll discover is that teaching someone else cements everything for you. The concepts you thought you understood, you'll understand at a deeper level. The practices you thought were habits, they'll become permanent. And your own frequency will rise even higher because generosity and abundance are the same signal. Plus, there's something powerful about becoming the person who helps others make money. It positions you as successful even if you're still building. It expands your network because that person will remember you as the one who changed their financial reality. And it creates a ripple effect. They'll teach someone else, who will teach someone else. You'll have started a movement. That's legacy. That's impact beyond income. I'm betting on you. I'm betting 21 days from now you'll have your first significant win. 90 days from now, your financial reality will be unrecognizable compared to today. 1 year from now, you'll look back at this moment as the turning point where everything changed. Not because of luck, not because of magic. Because you decided to change your frequency, you followed through on the protocols, and you took aligned action even when it was uncomfortable. Big money is waiting for you. Not someplace distant in the future. Right here, right now. In the opportunities you've been overlooking, the conversations you've been avoiding, the value you've been underpricing. You just needed the complete system to unlock it. Now you have it. Every protocol, every script, every exercise, every recovery plan. Now you execute. Go attract what's already yours. The money, the opportunities, the freedom, the impact. It's all waiting on the other side of your decision to claim it. Make the decision. Take the action. Trust the process. Watch what happens. You're 3 decisions away from financial explosion. You just made the first one by finishing this audiobook. The next 2 are up to you. I believe you'll make them. Now go prove me right. Your 72-hour window starts now.